Welcome back to a new episode of the Leading Yourself podcast. I'm super excited to continue our career development series here on the Leading Yourself podcast. We started this series talking about how you can design, build, and drive your career. Last week, we talked about the habits that will get you promoted. And today, we're going to be talking about the people that you need on your career team. Yes, your career team. I use the analogy of you being in the driver's seat of your career. You have heard me say that your manager is your co pilot. But who else do you need in your team in order to succeed in your career? Well, let's find out. Welcome to the Leading Yourself podcast. This is your host, Carolina de Arriba. I'm an HR professional, health and fitness coach, wife, mom, and above all things, a goal-getter. In this podcast, we're going to be digging into all things leadership, professional and career development, habits, and relationships. This is a podcast for those who want to become the best version of themselves. Those who have big dreams and are willing to embrace the journey and put in the work to achieve them. My goal is to share with you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you in your journey. So let's dig into today's episode. I don't know about you, but I am very excited about this career development series. Career development is one of my favorite things to talk about, and I find that I am pretty lucky because I get to work on this as part of my day-to-day job. I can be talking about career development for hours, for days, and that's why I decided to break it down into a series of episodes. Before we jump into today's topic, I just want to recap what we've covered so far. So, the first episode of this series, we talk about how to design, build, and drive your career. And I talked about the 5 things that you can do to take the driver's seat of your career. Last week, episode 2 of this series, we talk about the habits that are going to get you promoted. If you are pursuing a promotion, whether it's in the short, mid, or long term, it's something that you aspire to do to, grow in the organization that you're at. That episode is going to break down 15 habits that are going to help you get promoted. Now, this week, I want to talk about the people that you need in your career to help you succeed. You have heard me say this many times since we started this series, and you're going to continue to hear me say this. You are in the driver's seat of your career. But like any professional racer, think about any professional racer, they are in the driver's seat of that car. They are the ones crossing the finish line. They are the ones who win the race. But they would not be able to win the race if they didn't had a whole team behind them, right? The same is for your career. You need to have a whole career squad supporting you along the way to ensure that you are successful. That is what we're talking about today. And as I share with you who are the key team members of your career squad, I want to invite you to download the worksheet that comes with today's podcast episode. I'm going to put a link to that worksheet on the notes of the podcast episode. So, as you hear me explaining the different roles of the different members of your squad, you can do a kind of like an audit to identify, do you have someone today in your career that plays that role and who that person is. This exercise will also be very eye-opening and very telling to help you identify what are some empty spots. So then you can be intentional about recruiting and onboarding those people into your career squad. And I will share a couple of tips on how you can go about doing that. See, when I reflected a few years ago, at the point that I had reached a big milestone in my career, and I reflected on who were the people that supported me along the way, who were the people that without them I could have not reached that big milestone because I wanted to send them a quick thank you note for their support, for their guidance, for their mentoring, for them believing in me and cheering me up and not giving up on me. I realized and I came up with this concept of the career squad. I've been very fortunate that in my career, I have many of these people that I'm going to talk to you about today. But when I was doing that exercise, then I asked myself, okay, if I want to go to the next milestone in my career, am I missing anyone in this career squad, in this career team? And that's how I came up with all the different roles that I'm going to share with you today. Now, what I'm going to share with you are roles, not people. So, in some instances, you will find that one person can be playing multiple of those roles in your career. You will also see that sometimes you have more than one person playing one particular role. So there is no one to one correlation between the role and the individual. One individual can play multiple roles, and you can find multiple individuals playing the same role in your career. So, keeping that in mind, I would love for you to follow along with the worksheet so you can write down just the key takeaways from today's episode, along with who are the people that are playing what roles in your career. And we'll talk about how can you use that worksheet afterwards to one, recruit and onboard any missing members in your career squad, and two, I'm going to give you some ideas of what can you do about the people that are already in your team. I have some ideas there as well. So let's dive into what are these key people that are part of your career squad. The first one is a mentor. A mentor is the person that will point you in the right direction when you're feeling lost. A mentor is someone that is ahead of you in the journey, that is sharing with you the his or her experiences, that is sharing with you her or his learnings along the way, and that is helping you to accelerate your development to get there. Now, I believe that you can have multiple mentors at one given point in time. See, mentors are people that know more than you, that have more experience than you, that can guide you, that can show you the way. Think about it this way: you are driving the car of your career and you know what your destination is, but you've never gone through this particular road. So you don't know what is ahead in the road. You don't know if there's going to be a hole in the road or there's going to be construction on the road. Your mentor has already gone through that road, and he or she knows how the road looks and can share with you those things so you can, you know, drive around the holes, take the shortcuts, all of those things. I hope that analogy makes sense. That is the role of the mentor. And as I said, you can have multiple mentors at the same time. I personally, at any given point in time, I have at least two or three mentors. And here's how I go about identifying my mentors. I think about we talk about this concept of designing and building your career. And as part of that, we talked about identifying what are some gaps that you have. Where are you today? That self-awareness, where you want to go, and then what are some gaps to take you there. And those gaps can show up in the form of skills or knowledge or experience. So for me, I'm always working on developing a particular skill. And for that, I look for people that are better than me at that skill or have more experience in that area. I'll give you an example. I share with you that I joined a new company about a year ago. I'm coming up on my first year anniversary. I can't believe this has gone by super, super fast. And one of the things that I've been reflecting is that I need to continue to work on building my business acumen. That is very important to me. Developing the business acumen in this new industry, in this new company. And therefore, I reach out to someone and ask that person to become my mentor in specifically helping me develop my business acumen, right? Now, I also have a mentor that I go to for questions related to my career development. That is the typical concept of a mentor. When we think of a mentor, we think about someone that can help you move upward in your career, that can help you get to that next milestone in your career, right? I have one of those as well. I have someone that is right now in the type of role that I aspire to be in the future. And I meet with her regularly to talk about the road to get there. And she gives me advice of what to focus on, what to work on, what types of experiences to make sure that I get. So that's another mentor that I have. So mentors are people again that are going to point you in the right direction when you're feeling lost. People that have more experience than you, that are ahead of you in the journey, that are going to help you guide you through how to get to your destination faster. Because now, instead of you making the same mistakes that they made, right? You can learn from their mistakes and you can learn from their successes. And that is going to help you accelerate your development. So, you definitely want to have a mentor in your career squad. Now, going back to the worksheet, again, if you haven't downloaded, you can download it on the link that is on the show notes of today's podcast episode. I want you to write down who are your mentors and not only who they are, but what are they mentoring on. Are these career mentors that are showing you the way on how to navigate your career? Or are there mentors more helping you develop a particular skill or learning more about something that you're curious about? Okay. The second role in your career squad is a coach. A coach um, is there to take you out of your comfort zone so you can maximize your potential and make things happen. While a mentor is someone that has more experience and not more knowledge than you in something that you want to develop, or they're ahead of you in the road, your coach doesn't necessarily need to know more or have more experience. Your coach plays a role of helping you find your own answers. You learn from a mentor, your coach is helping you find your own answers. And it's going to push you outside of your comfort zone by thinking differently, by adopting different perspectives, by asking you the right questions to get you thinking about what can you do differently? How can you approach a certain situation? How can you jump out of your comfort zone to help you grow? Coaches are so valuable, right? I think a lot of times because we're so afraid to jump outside of our comfort zone, we need that person to push us, right? We need that person to ask us the right questions because a lot of times the answers are inside of us. And the only reason that we haven't uncovered those answers is because we haven't asked ourselves the right questions. And that is something that a coach will help you do. A coach also can help you keep you accountable, right? Not only is going to ask you questions, but typically coaches have this unique way of making you commit to certain actions and hold you accountable for those things. Okay, the next person that you need on your career squad is a sponsor. A sponsor is the person that says your name in a room full of opportunities, typically a room where you're not present. Is the person that is going to open doors for you, is going to be your advocate in front of new opportunities. While mentors give you advice and perspective, sponsors advocate on your behalf. And in some cases, directly present you with those career advancement opportunities that you're looking for. They play a role in the behind closed doors, and I'm making air quote conversations that you might not be included in. Think about it. Anytime that there's been an important decision in your career that has impacted your career, you getting hired, you getting promoted, you getting a salary increase, you being presented with new opportunities, you haven't been part of that conversation or that decision. Your sponsor is a person that will advocate for you in those situations, that will speak up for you and in your behalf, so you are given those opportunities or consider for those opportunities. So again, the sponsor play this quote unquote behind closed door conversations that you might not be part in, and they can support um, other members of your career squad in advocating for you in front of other leaders, in front of not only your manager, but people outside even of your team. Now, a lot of people ask me, how do I find a sponsor? I have even had people come to me and say, would you be my sponsor? Here's the thing: you pick your mentors, you pick your coaches, you don't pick your sponsors. Your sponsors pick you. Let me repeat that one more time because I want this to sink. You pick your mentors, you pick your coaches, your sponsors pick you. And you might have multiple sponsors in a given point in time. Some people that are your sponsors, you might not even be aware that they're your sponsors. That has happened to me many times in my career. I had sponsors that I had no idea they were my sponsors. So, if your sponsor picks you, how can you increase the chances that someone picks you? Right? That's the $1 million questions, because we all want to have a sponsor. We all want to have someone in that behind closed door conversation advocating for us. Well, I personally believe that in order to do that, you need to show people around you your value. You need to practice a lot of the things that we talked about in the episode last week. By doing those things, people are going to start to see you. And as they see you and they believe in you and they believe in your potential, they're going to become your greatest sponsors and advocates and funds. Okay, talking about fans, the next role in your career squad is the cheerleader. The cheerleader is someone who celebrates your accomplishments as if they were their own. You know, they believe in you, um, even when you struggle to believe in yourself. Developing a career is a little bit of a marathon, right? It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And there are some stretches in our career that are harder than others. And it's really nice to have someone that thinks that you're doing a good job, that admires you, that cheers you on, whether you feel that you're winning or you're losing, whether you're going through one of these hard stretches or you're thriving. Someone that is there along the way in the high and the low moments of your marathon, cheering you up. Because I don't know about you, but when I have someone that cheers me up, that believes in me even when I'm having a hard time believing in myself, that helps me borrow their belief so I can start believing a little bit more in myself. And when we do that, then we find the strength that we need to get through those hard seasons and be more resilient through them. So as we get past them, we can reach our next milestone and then the milestone after that. So far we've talked about the mentor, the coach, the sponsor, the cheerleader. The next one, I don't know how to call it. I'm gonna call it the critique. Um, like I'm a foodie. I love food. You know how at restaurants there's always this critics that come and talk about the restaurant and the food and they laid out all the good and the bad, right? And everyone in the restaurant industry fears them, right? You know those people? Well, you need one of those in your career. Not someone that you fear, but someone that will tell you what you need to hear, even when it's hard. I think that along our career journey, there's a lot of people that are great at telling us what we want to hear. But it's really difficult to find someone that will tell you what you need to hear, even if it's hard. As human beings, we try to avoid conflict. We don't want to be the ones that gives the critical feedback to someone else. But here's the thing, and I said this I think in a previous episode. Feedback is a gift. As much self-aware as you can be, we all have blind spots. We all do. And it is important to have someone in our career squad that is willing to be that person that gives us that hard feedback. The one that we need to hear in order to continue to grow and continue to focus on the right things that are going to help us achieve our goals. And I know sometimes it's hard to listen to that and accept that feedback. I've been there many times, especially at the beginning of my career. I had some of these people in my career squad and I hated them. I did, I'm being completely honest. But looking back, I'm so grateful that they were there because I know they were giving me that feedback from a good place, right? And that is important that they're doing it keeping your best interest in mind. And I had a couple of people like that in my career that were very direct, that were very sincere in giving me that hard feedback that I needed. And as much as I push back on that and I try to justify myself because that is our natural reaction when we receive that critical feedback, that helped me learn how to appreciate feedback, how to seek for feedback. Not only the glamorous feedback about how great we're doing, right? We have our cheerleaders for that. But we also need the critics that are going to give us that hard feedback that we need in order to continue to grow. Okay, the next one is you need a role model. That is another critical role in your career squad. A role model is someone that you can look up to and model. Someone that is modeling for you the things that you want in your career. Not only the people that are in a particular role that you aspire to be in, but people that are really good at doing the things that you want to do, that are really showing up in the way that you aspire to show up. If you think about skills and critical skills that you need to develop in order to get to that career goal of yours, whatever those skills are, let's name a few just to do a quick example. Leadership, communication, problem solving, right? Just those three for an example. Who are some role models? Who are people that you admire that are really good at those things? And the reason why you need role models in your team is because you can, by watching them, learn how to develop those skills yourself. They are proof that you can. They are there to model the things and how those things manifest, so you have something to aspire to and learn from. So think about, who are those role models today in your career? And maybe be a little bit more specific in your worksheet. Like, these people are my role models for what? Because you might have different people playing that role today in your career. And if you don't have role models for all the skills that you're looking to develop, think about, who are people that are really good at this? Who are people that I admire for this same reason, for this same skill that I'm trying to develop, right? Okay, the next um, role of someone in your career squad is a connector. We all need a connector. You have probably heard, and I have probably already said since we started this series, that who you connect with, that networking with the right people is key in your career journey. Therefore, you need someone that can play the role of the connector. This is the person who seems to know everybody and can get you in touch with the right person with just a quick call or a quick text. Is the person that will introduce you to someone, that will connect you with someone. Those are the connectors. I value connectors so much because I am an introvert. It's hard for me to just reach out to someone and introduce myself. And I always appreciate when someone serves at that as that bridge of connecting me with other person. And sometimes a connector will connect you with someone that you are intentional about connecting with. And sometimes a connector will connect you with someone that you didn't even knew existed. So, who are your connectors in your career team? Who are those people that are helping you connect with the people that you need to connect? Whether it is to get something done, whether it is to support you with a task or a project, or whether it is for your own career development and growth. The next one is a trusted peer. The trusted peer plays many roles, right? A peer that it's in the same space as you are, is someone that will have a great empathy for you because he or she is walking in your shoes, basically, right? You're in the same area, you are in the same space, and you can really relate, but also is going to keep you focused on the task on hand. A lot of times when we think about career development, we can get distracted by things that we do in order to grow our career, and we get distracted from our job. And a peer will keep you grounded to the task in front of you. But it's someone that, because it's in the same role as you, can have the biggest empathy, and someone you can talk about the day to day things in your job. Someone that you can just vent with, that will understand you, someone that can give you advice on things related to your current job, someone that can support you in your current role. We all need that trusted peer, that deep connection with people that are our peers. So, who are your trusted peers? You might have many peers, but who are the ones that you trust? The ones that you will go to, like your go to people, anytime that you need to either vent or look for advice related to your job or look for guidance as it relates to your current role. The last one, the last role in your career squad, is a friend or a confidant. Someone that is there to hear you out and hear your dreams and your deepest desire. Someone that you go to share what you're dreaming about. The road to success will have many good moments, and it will also have some not so good moments, some stressful, some anxious moments. That is why you need a trusted friend. They don't need to be work related friends, right? They just need to be someone with whom you can vent and forget about your professional life for a little bit. Someone that you can trust enough and be vulnerable with, both to celebrate your achievements as well as be there for you in your difficult moments, is someone that is so close to you that you feel um, the trust of sharing your deepest dreams and your challenges and the things that frustrate you and the things that you want to do and how things are going. We all need that confident, that friend in our career squad. Sometimes when we think about our career squad, we only think about people in our professional life, right? People at work, people in our industry, people in the professional realm. And I think having that connection, that bridge as well with your personal life is important, because I always say our career is just one aspect of our lives. And I always say as well that when you are working on developing your career, one of the things you need to make sure is that it aligns, it supports the lifestyle that you want. And therefore, having that bridge, right, over with you as a person and your personal life is important. And that's a role that a friend plays. So who is that friend? Who is that confidant that you go to and talk about your dreams and your frustrations and the good and the bad, the one that you go and you call when you have something to celebrate and she celebrates with you, or the person that you call when you're going through difficult moments and you need the comfort and you need someone that just listens to you, that cares for you as an individual, as a person. Okay, let's summarize. We cover a lot in today's podcast episode. So I want to summarize everything for you. And once again, grab your worksheet and try to write down who in your career is playing what role, keeping in mind that one person can be playing multiple roles, as well as you might have multiple people playing one particular role. So let's summarize those roles. The first one is your mentor, someone that is ahead of you in the journey, someone that can point you in the right direction when you're lost. Number two, your coach, someone that is going to take you outside of your comfort zone so you can maximize your potential and make things happen. Someone that is going to help you find your own answers, the ones that are already inside of you. Number three, your sponsor. This is the person that will advocate for you, that will be playing that role behind closed doors in those critical conversations to your career, advocating for you. Number four, your cheerleader, someone who is celebrating your accomplishments as if they were their own. Number five, the critic, that person that will tell you what you need to hear, even when it's hard. Number six, the role model, people that you admire for things that you want to develop in yourself, from whom you can learn just by observing them. Number seven, the connector, the person who seems to know everybody and can get you in touch with the right person. Number eight, the trusted peer, someone that is going to keep you focused on the task at hand, someone that is walking in your shoes and can have that deep level of empathy for you. And last but not least, the friend or confidant, someone that will hear out your dreams and your deepest desires, someone that can both celebrate your achievements and also be there for you in your difficult moments. So, who are the people that are playing these roles in your career? And what are some empty spots in your team? If you find out that you have some empty spots, it might be time to start recruiting and onboarding some new members into your career squad. And with that, we come to the end of today's podcast episode. I hope you found today's podcast helpful and inspiring. If you can think of anyone that can benefit from today's content, do me a favor and send them the link so they can also benefit from this content. With that, I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you here again next week for another episode of the Leading Yourself podcast.